Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's your host, Rising Oblivion. Today, guys, is the 2,000 subscriber special. Sorry this took a little bit to get out, but I've been working diligently on it, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to talk about my favorite video games and my history of just playing games, how I got into streaming, how I got into doing YouTube, and just basically everything in between. And I have a little Q&A that I'm going to be doing at the end of this video, thanks to you guys. You guys submitted some questions, I'll be giving you some answers. Some of them are funny, most of them are funny actually, but some of them have some interesting, questions to them, so I'm going to be answering them at the end of this video. But I wanted to go over just a quick little, brief history of just me playing video games as a kid. So basically, I started with the PS2, and I had a Game Boy that actually I used that was actually my mom's, but I played a lot of the PS2. It was basically my console. That was my gateway into gaming. And I believe at some point we had an N64, but I didn't really play it. You're gonna learn that I really didn't have a lot of Nintendo growing up other than just handhelds. So I pretty much only had Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Gen 3, and just in general, that's what I played a ton of, and I loved that. That was definitely my gateway into doing JRPGs. But on console, I had other things like Sly Cooper, and even I believe some of the earlier Call of Duties. We had those on the PS2, and I think I played maybe Jak and Daxter, maybe I played Ratchet and Clank at some point. I definitely played a lot of GTA there too, but Sly Cooper was like my main game that I played, and I think the first game that I actually played all the way through. So shout out to any of the Sly Cooper fans out there. But I'm going to dive into my top 5 favorite series / video games, and there's a reason why that these are all my favorites, and a lot of it does have to do with nostalgia and them being the first ones that I played, so it's a little bit biased when it comes to this. But the top 5 games that I've always loved and I've always played, I'm going to start with number 5 here, and that is Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty in general has, it's kind of changed over the years. It wasn't quite what it used to be, but the Call of Duty Zombies in specific is something that I always loved as a kid because it was a different experience. It wasn't your classic shoot 'em up versus other people. It was a cooperative mode where you had to fight off against hordes of zombies basically surrounding the building that you're trying to protect. You had to board them out, you could buy new guns and stuff like that. It was an interesting concept, and thanks to a lot of the Easter eggs in the story of the series, it ended up being a huge thing and a huge part of Call of Duty, at least when it comes to Treyarch, the people who make the Black Ops games, and they made the World at War game. Call of Duty World at War was my favorite game pretty much of all time for like a very, very long time, until I started playing some different ones and started exploring some different genres. But Call of Duty Zombies was such a significant thing to get me into gaming, and honestly, it was the first time that I realized that I really liked horror in video games, because it was genuinely scary, especially like little 12, 11-year-old me who just really got into gaming heavy and playing online games on the PS3 there. That was significant for me, and I really loved that. But let's jump on over to number 4, and this is the Souls games. Now, I found these a little bit later, so something on the higher parts of this list are things that I found sooner, but I absolutely love Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. I love these Souls-like games, and they're very, very fun and have a similar situation. They're kind of like JRPGs, but kind of not in the same way. They're more of a traditional RPG, but they have some kind of JRPG-ish elements when it comes to the level up system, which is something I love. You have all of these different potential characters that you can create, not only look-wise, but stat-wise as well. If you're here for the Persona and Shin Megami Tensei content, imagine basically an even bigger thing where you upgrade every single aspect of the character almost in every way when it comes to speed, agility, how fast they walk, and everything. And it's third person, which is a lot different compared to Persona or something like that when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, not turn-based. It's still third person, but it's a little bit different when it comes to that. And these Souls games are really fun, and Dark Souls 2 in specific was something that I played a lot. I streamed the whole thing on Twitch a couple of years ago, and it was honestly one of the best experiences I've ever had just playing video games in general, having people there to play that game with, just going off in just a random direction while playing the Dark Souls games. It's the best game to go in blind and play because you have no idea where you're going to end up, and you might end up in some crazy places and get some really cool items, and you know, fight some really crazy bosses that maybe you've never seen before, because there's some interesting designs with that game and some very interesting spells and weapons, and there's a lot of lore that you have to find. And basically the only way to understand more about the game is you just have to play it. It's that simple, and every little thing you do in that game seems to be significant towards the end goal of the game. Let's jump to number 3 of my favorite, you know, series slash games, and that is the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy franchise. So I did a podcast a long while ago with Kuro talking about Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, and we talked a lot of trash about the games, but we also really loved them a lot. And this has to be because of probably me playing them as a kid. And I really loved playing them. But I was getting around, you know, early teens, mid-teens when I found Kingdom Hearts, which is just at the right level of cringiness to get involved with Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. I played a lot of Kingdom Hearts, like Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2. I made sure to play them in order when I played them, and I even had a couple of the handheld ones, crazily enough, because there's a lot. And then all the remasters came out, that I went through those, and I streamed those, and I even have been streaming the Kingdom Hearts stuff here on PC. So subscribe to the channel and make sure to click the bell there to be notified if I go live again, because it's been a very fun experience, and getting to run through these classic games again has been, you know, absolutely insane. And Kingdom Hearts in general, it's a little crazy, it's a little confusing, but honestly, I think it has one of the most interesting stories and the most interesting designs when it comes to a game. It's Final Fantasy, but it's not, you know, turn-based, it's action-based. It's more along the lines of like something like Final Fantasy 15 or maybe Final Fantasy 7 when it comes to actually controlling the character and whatnot. I know it's like a mainstream thing now, but Kingdom Hearts was kind of ahead of its time when it came to that. I think a lot of that had to do with Square Enix and Disney trying to like mesh things together and figure out what pretty much worked the best when trying to mesh these types of like characters and gameplay together. And honestly, it's super fun, and I've always loved the games. They're good hack and slashes, but you also can go to higher difficulties, which I've beaten Kingdom Hearts 2 on critical, I've beaten Kingdom Hearts 1 on proud, and those are some of the most satisfying game victories ever. And the Kingdom Hearts series really rewards you for finishing off bosses and finishing off different levels, because you get a lot of cool items, different keyblades, new level ups, new transformations, which I've always found to be very, very cool to have in that game, because not a lot of games seem to reward you enough sometimes when doing battles or doing bosses. It feels a little insignificant, but Kingdom Hearts always has been super satisfying to play, at least whenever I've played them. Let's move on over to number 2 on the list, and this is the Meg 10 stuff. So this is like SMT 3 that I've currently been playing through and streaming, Persona 4 Golden, a little bit of Persona 3 that I know about, and Persona 5 Royal, obviously, the big games, and the dancing games as well. And I think I've played a couple other games. Oh, Catherine, I've done Catherine as well, Catherine Full Body, and I think 1 or 2 other games I've kind of looked at or touched upon. I might have played Arena once or something like that. And I gotta say, I really love the Meg 10 games, man. Just Shin Megami Tensei in general, and just Persona in general. I could say that either just one of these or something that I put on this list, because I really enjoy them and really love them. And especially streaming all of these games and playing them with you guys has been absolutely phenomenal and has been hilarious. Jumping through Persona 4 Golden with you guys has been pretty nuts, and I love it so far. The story seems really great, and I remember my first time seeing that game stream. That's how I got into Persona. I'd seen somebody stream it at one time, you know, and I was like, okay, this game looks pretty good. But the most thing that hooked me in the most was the music, man. The music of Persona is so good. You have the music, you have the environments, you have a pretty good battle system, a rewarding battle system. The card shuffle at the end of the battles on Persona 4 Golden seemed like such an interesting idea to me, because I had not seen that type of thing ever been done before for a game. So you could say a lot of my love for the Meg 10 series, just in general, has to stem from Persona 4 Golden and seeing the game and just diving straight into it myself later on. I got Persona 3 and Persona 4 on my PS3, but I realized they weren't really the best versions of the game, so I waited around a little bit, got Persona 5, played through that, then Persona 5 Royal, played through that, and then as we know, later that year, during, you know, the release of Persona 5 Royal, we would get in the summer that P4 Golden port over to Steam, which I have been streaming on the channel as well, and I've really loved playing both of them. They're kind of different in a lot of ways, but kind of the same in other ways. But I think it's a good combo, and I think Persona 4 Golden is definitely the way to go. If you're a person who likes Persona 5, or you've beaten Persona 5 Royal, I know it's kind of hard if you don't have a PC to play Persona 4 Golden, but honestly, I think it's the way to go, and hopefully we end up seeing a Persona 3 remaster sometime, maybe this summer, maybe next summer, something like that. I'm not too sure, because this is supposed to be the 25th anniversary of Persona this year, so you would imagine that they would have something else Persona related coming out, hopefully a port, hopefully a remaster, but who knows, we might be getting that Persona 5 Arena game here soon. It's kind of hard to tell, to be completely honest. But the Meg 10 games, obviously I love them. My channel so far, it's went up and down through many different things, but honestly, I love these games, and I love covering them for you guys. It's really fun to do. And let's move over to number 1 on my list for my top series of all time, and that is Borderlands. So Borderlands it's kind of its own beast. It's really its own genre. It's a shooter-looter, but co-op shooter-looter genre that really they kind of spawned out of nowhere. So if you like Destiny, if you like, you know, the Borderlands series, if you like these games, maybe like, I think Titanfall is kind of like it. If you love these big open world games that are shooter, looter type of stuff, and you have to grind a lot, basically Borderlands is the people who really started that whole genre. They're kind of the first people to do that. And they did it on PS3, and I remember buying this game and getting this game for the first time, and I spent hours upon hours. I have to have multiple hundred hours played on that game. I own it on PS3, PS4, PC, and on my Switch. I own it 4 different ways, and from pretty much every single console or system that I have bought personally myself, I have it on. It's kind of nuts. Same thing with Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, and Borderlands 3. And I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3 with the new designer's cut that's come out recently. I know a lot of this stuff during this list I just realized might be stuff that you guys haven't seen or haven't played, but these are just my suggestions to you guys and just part of the special just to learn a little more about me. I know this might not be super Persona related the whole time here, or Shin Megami Tensei or Final Fantasy, but honestly, give Borderlands a shot. Try and open yourself up to the shooter genre. I know it could be a little iffy at times, but honestly, the Borderlands series is very fun. You could start from the beginning, but honestly, I'd prefer, you know, if you're probably a new player into the Borderlands series, Borderlands 2 is a very good way to jump into the game. There's a lot of good versions out there, basically on anything you've got. If you've got anything from the Xbox 360 to the PS3 upwards, you can buy it, man. It's there. You're able to buy it. Even Xbox, PlayStation, Sony, it doesn't even matter, man. It's all over the place, and one of my favorite games of all time. You can play it with some buddies, you can play it by yourself. You have these different characters who can level up and have different skill trees, have different stories. You can play through the story on harder difficulties to increase your loot chance. You can get really crazy guns. Borderlands 3 has some really, really strange guns, but some really fun guns that you can play with that are just honestly very, you know, just good when it comes to the gameplay. It changes things up. Not only are you getting maybe a better gun that has more damage like you would have in most games. You have the same gun, then you buff up its damage a little bit or something like that. But the thing is, in Borderlands, when you like get a better gun, it might look completely different. It might shoot completely different. It might have a crazy little effect where if you throw the gun after you're done reloading it, it goes around flying around shooting for you for a couple seconds or something strange like that, or it has a mini shield on it or something. There's a lot of really crazy combos that you can have with Borderlands that are honestly super fun to play with, and one of the best things I think about Borderlands when it comes to that is the style of it. But those are my favorite game series. If I had to choose, I would say that I really love Borderlands 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Persona 5 Royal, and you know, Borderlands 1, really. I think I just said that. But either way, those are my favorites out of those. Kingdom Hearts 2 really is like kind of like the best you can get out of all of the Kingdom Hearts stuff, all put together in one game. Birth by Sleep, I would say, has a better story, but Kingdom Hearts 2, I think overall has everything. Combat, when it comes to just Sora's abilities as well, being able to fly, being able to glide and do different stuff like that. Also, the story's not too bad in that. I'd say it's a little bit better than Kingdom Hearts 1, even though it's a little more confusing, but you have to play Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, then jump to Birth by Sleep, and eventually you can play Kingdom Hearts 3. And its Remind DLC, from what I heard, is still pretty good and still pretty interesting, and a lot of people really like that DLC because apparently it kind of fixes Kingdom Hearts 3. But let's move on over to the Q&A section that you guys have submitted your questions. I might do this again in the future if you guys are kind of interested in this, but let's move on over to the Q&A section of the video. I don't want to try and make this thing too long. Alright, so I'm just going to go down the list of whoever submitted these questions first. I'll give you the first ones that are answered. And this is already, we're kicking off with a great question. T Gaming says, how many gallons of Sunny D can you jug in an hour, and why is it less than me? And the thing is, dude, Sunny D has such acidity to it that it'd probably rip my stomach open, dude. It is so acidic, and my stomach has an awful time with acid, dude. You'd probably beat me, man. I don't think I could do it, but you know, Sunny D's not too bad. I gotta give it to you. I'd prefer, you know, I prefer like Simply Orange or something like that because I think it tastes a little better, it tastes a little more genuine. But you know, it's whatever. T Gaming. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a showdown. Maybe we can figure that out later, dude. I don't know. You tell me. And Kai McGropes says, what are your top 5 favorite Persona characters? And he just says Persona. He doesn't say Persona 5 or Persona 4, whatever. He just says Persona in general. If I had to pick a top 5, I easily, just off the top of my head. Now, I've made some videos about this. Maybe at the end I'll make that into the little ending card there. You can click on one of my you know, tier lists that I've done. But at the top of my head, I had to pick just 5. I would say probably something like Makoto, Haru. I really like... I don't know, what else is left? I really like Yusuke. I think he's pretty interesting. And Yosuke both. I would say Yusuke, Yosuke. I like Rise, Makoto, Haru. I think they're all pretty good. Honestly, out of all of those, the ones who have grown on me the most, originally I didn't like Haru a lot. But if you play through Persona 5 Royal, I really enjoyed Haru a whole lot more. That and seeing Robot Haru at the end of, you know, her dad's palace, or technically kind of her palace, they're kind of intertwined in Persona 5. It's so fun to actually see that happen, and her getting a little more screen time with the 3rd semester and everything else really made me appreciate Haru and like Haru a lot more. Makoto, I can have a whole tier list thing on that. You can check all that stuff out later. Rise also grown on me. I'd say if I had to pick 2 characters that grown on me the most, Haru would be P5s and it would be Rise for P4. If I had to pick 2 characters that really grown on me, but I say my all-time favorite character is probably Makoto, to be completely honest. I know that's a little base, a lot of people think that's base, but what can I say, man? I just really enjoy her character in lots of ways, basically. And for the last question here, another Fox asked, what are your thoughts on Metroidvanias? And honestly, I really haven't played a whole lot of Metroidvanias. The closest thing I maybe have ever gotten to like a Metroidvania is maybe something like Binding of Isaac, which isn't even really kind of that. That's more of a roguelike game, which isn't really... It's kind of has... Some Metroidvanias kind of have roguelike aspects to it, but I really haven't played a lot of Metroidvanias. I should really get into it. I think Shovel Knight is kind of technically a Metroidvania, but I would like to get into some of those, potentially maybe stream them down the line or something like that here on the channel, but I don't really have an opinion on them. I haven't really played a whole lot of them, honestly. To be completely fair, I don't really have a... I can't really form an opinion. I haven't really played a lot of them. So, yeah, that's sort of my thought on that. Sorry, that's kind of a weak question to end it on, but that's sort of my thoughts on that. And that sort of wraps up the Q&A section there, but I think that's going to be it, guys. I think that's going to wrap most of the stuff up, and I wanted just to say thank you for 2,000 subscribers, man. I never thought I would even hit 100, and then we hit 1,000. Now we're at 2,000. That really blows my mind. I didn't ever think we would actually get to any of those milestones, but all the way back since the beginning, I started uploading Dragon Ball videos that did pretty good, and I still make a Dragon Ball video here and there, so thank you if you're a person who stuck with me all the way since then. I also had a period where I did Borderlands news and updates, which was pretty cool. Then I jumped to Persona. So I've jumped a couple different times, but I think we finally landed at a pretty good place where pretty much the direction of this channel is mostly going to be Persona / Final Fantasy / anything Atlus is doing, anything kind of Square Enix is kind of doing. JRPG type of videos, basically. It's going to be just anime, JRPG type of stuff, but I do want to mention down in the description below, I'm going to have my Twitch linked down there, along with the actual Discord that I have. I have a Discord server. All that stuff is going to be down below, so you can click and join those different things. But I wanted to say on my Twitch, I'm going to be doing different types of content. It's not going to be anime, JRPG type of stuff. That's where I'm going to start streaming Dark Souls again, where I'm going to be streaming shooters, where I'm going to be streaming Rainbow Six. I have Overwatch. I have a lot of different games that I really do enjoy and really love. Like I said, Borderlands. Kingdom Hearts is going to stay here on the channel. The Souls games are going to go over there. Maybe Call of Duty Zombies, Borderlands, different games like that. maybe even Resident Evil, the new Resident Evils that have come out. I think I might also try and stream those over on my Twitch, but here on the YouTube channel, we're going to keep it pretty much Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Final Fantasy, just JRPG type of stuff in general. Down the pipeline, I'm going to be doing SMT5 here on the channel once that lands. Persona 4 Golden, I'm going to finish that up. SMT3, I'm going to finish that up. We're also going to be running through the Kingdom Hearts games as time goes on. As I start to feel better, like I've said, I was really sick for quite a long time, so I didn't actually get to fully recuperate, but I'm still slowly getting there, and I'm going to be making more and more content as time goes on. So that's what you can kind of expect here on the channel for what's going to be streamed, what's going to be, you know, followed up on and stuff like that. But over on the Twitch channel, I plan to eventually start on Dark Souls 1. I beat Dark Souls 2, but I have not done Dark Souls 1. We're going to be playing Borderlands 3 on there. We're also going to be playing a couple different games, like maybe Call of Duty Zombies or something like that down the road. Just some different games that we're going to be playing. Those will be over on my Twitch channel, which is linked down below. And sometimes I play guitar and sing on there and do some different stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to wrap things up for the most part here. Thank you for sticking through with me on this. This might be one of my biggest videos I have ever made, and it took quite a while for this to get all pieced together. So I want to say thank you one more time for getting me to 2,000 subscribers and to sticking with me through the channel. I recommend clicking the bell and subscribing if you have not already to be notified whenever I have new videos go up and stuff like that. I do have a membership for the channel. You just click join, you get a bunch of different emotes, you get a bunch of different, you know, perks and stuff like that for being part of the channel. You get a little badge next to your name, which is pretty cool, and that will change as you keep going along. We're going to be getting even more emotes and stuff like that down the pipeline. So I want to thank all of you so much for getting us here, and expect more and more stuff, more and more content as we go down the road. So thank you all so much for watching.